Molly is a friend. Molly is a coworker. And a lot of times some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable.
I'm going to tell you something really crazy, so sit down, everyone. Molly Qerim's residual reputation could be destroyed by the video that Stephen A. Smith shared. I understand what you're thinking now. Whoa, Molly left ESPN already. Yes, she did, darling. However, this video? This is not the same. Everything she has worked so hard to create over the years is in danger of being destroyed by this kind of disaster. Chilly. This video was meant to remain secret, tucked away in the vault, but now everyone may see it. The harm? Irreversible. And that Stephen A. is responsible for it? There are layers of chaos, betrayal, and outright deceit in this story. So fasten your seatbelts, darling. Allow me to transport you back to September 15th, 2025. It's a typical Monday morning. As she has done for years, Molly Qerim gets up, gets ready, and goes to ESPN studios to host First Take. Everything appears to be typical. Molly is unaware that this will be her final time occupying that seat as the show progresses and the cameras roll. She concludes the performance and continues with her day. She imagines herself returning tomorrow. She believes she has several months remaining on her contract. But, darling, things weren't going well. Chaos was developing behind the scenes. Her whole world was going to fall apart in a matter of hours. She will never again experience normalcy at ESPN after that Monday morning. The Sports Business Journal throws a bombshell the same evening. Following unsuccessful contract negotiations, Molly Qerim is leaving ESPN. Molly was totally unprepared for her private matter to become public.
This was an abrupt landing. This is an emergency exit. This is an emergency landing. This is one of those.
Chilly, I really mean it when I say that this was messy. Former ESPN host Marcellus Wiley, who is familiar with the network's workings, spoke up and expressed what everyone was thinking. He stated unequivocally that there was more going on behind closed doors than just money. This is the query that Marcellus asked, after arriving at work as usual. Why did Molly quit overnight? Consider it. On Monday, she hosted First Take. She leaves ESPN by Monday night. Departures don't operate like that. Marcellus Ellis wasn't scared to bring up the matter once something happened that made it necessary.
The therapist told me. Therapist told me it's not just how things end, it's why are they ending that?
There's more going on here, y'all. There is more to this than just a paycheck. September 16th, 2025. When viewers watch, they anticipate seeing Molly, but instead they see Stephen A. Smith sitting by himself with a clearly emotional expression. There was genuine bewilderment. People wanted to know where Molly was. While breaking the news, Stephen A. remains evasive, stating that we should respect her privacy, and it's none of our business.
She abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement.
There was no denying the unadulterated intensity in Stephen A.'s voice, but pay close attention to what he said next. This is where things start to get really interesting.
Molly is a friend. Molly is a coworker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last 10 years. And a lot of times some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable.
That seems considerate, doesn't it? However, he then begins discussing contract negotiations, deadlines, and disputes. All of a sudden, this man who recently stated that it is none of our business, now making it everyone's concern. People began to see that Stephen A. wasn't being sincere. On video, he was acting respectfully while making subtle jabs. The fact that he was acting in this manner the day after Molly left? Chilly, the boldness. Molly posted a farewell statement after leaving ESPN. She expressed gratitude to her supporters, the producers, and the crew. However, do you know whose name was missing? Baby Stephen A. Smith. Despite working with Stephen A. for 10 years, Molly never once brought him up. I don't even want to thank my co-hosts. That's loud in TV culture. Despite their conflict, Shannon Sharpe commended Skip Bayless for leaving undisputed. Molly, though, opted for quiet.
Work with for 10 years, you don't even mention them when you're gone. And you don't even give them that like partner heads up on air. Like, hey, we did this thing together. This thing is over, right? So that lets you know the business was ugly behind this.
This was not an accident, according to industry sources. This was intentional. Molly used this as a means of communicating to the public that whatever transpired between her and Stephen A. was not good. I'm not going to pretend that we're terrific when we're not, that omission stated. Marcellus Wiley returned with yet another controversial opinion that completely changed the story. Everyone assumed Molly had a breakdown, but Marcellus clarified that this was a power maneuver. Molly's departure, he claimed, was planned. Her sudden departure compelled ESPN and Stephen A. to demonstrate to the public what First Take would be like without her. She emphasized her worth. People behaved as though she was merely the moderator for years. However, Stephen A. appeared disoriented after she departed. The show felt different all of a sudden.
Why did Molly want to go out in a blaze? Coming to work Monday and then I ain't coming to work no more and y'all figure it out. Stephen A. abruptly has to host a show for the...
According to Marcellus, this was not a resignation. This was an act of protest. You want to undervalue me? Molly asked. Allow me to demonstrate what this presentation would look like without me. And that's powerful, baby. That's demanding respect and advocating for yourself. Let's discuss money. As the host of First Take, Molly was earning $500,000 annually. That is incredibly low for someone who hosts one of ESPN's largest shows in sports media. Millions were being earned by her peers. What then did Molly desire? A pay increase, similar to what Max Kellerman received, that was commensurate with her worth and her own performance. Both were rejected by ESPN. They essentially told her, take it or leave it, they're worth $500K. Additionally, they were throwing millions at other people while they were undervaluing Molly. A significant power disparity was revealed by the disrespect. This is what the majority of people are unaware of. First Take's executive producer is Stephen A. Smith. He thus has control over the budget, contracts, hiring, and firing. Molly wasn't only bargaining with ESPN executives. Her co-worker, who had direct authority over her work, was negotiating with her.
Signs off on you, when he signs for you, you get what you want. But guess what? There's a flip to it as well. When he doesn't sign off on you, when he doesn't sign for you, you don't get what you want.
Consider how dysfunctional that is. The individual who sits next to you every day is the one making the decision on your request for a rise. Someone who could be intimidated by your own show. Molly was in that situation. Stephen A. is absolutely correct when he says, it's my show. He is in charge of it. That is poisonous. You should reconsider if you believe that Molly's circumstances are exceptional. There is a trend here. Following a strained relationship with Stephen A. Max Kellerman, Carrie Champion was forced to leave. Stephen A. seems to be aware about Shannon Sharpe's departure from First Take before the general public did. Every time someone collaborates extensively with Stephen A. on First Take, they eventually leave. When is it no longer considered a coincidence? Because of Stephen A.'s influence, those who disobey him are expelled. Fox Sports offered Molly $2 million annually for 3 years and bonuses while she was juggling ESPN's lowball proposals. That is a promise of $6 million. That is not even close to $500K. Molly, however, offered ESPN an opportunity. Want to match it? She asked. Do you want to let me know that you appreciate me? ESPN declined. They declined to match it. She was shoved out the door. That explains exactly how Molly was seen as expendable by ESPN.
Decisions that we deem to be in our best interest for whatever reason. And that story is for her to tell. Do I have an idea? Of course I do. Am I going to share it with you? No. Because again, that's her story
to tell. However, Stephen A. began making public remarks instead of discreetly endorsing her, which fueled the flames. He made things worse rather than getting his co-hosts back. Recall that Stephen A. promised not to divulge personal information. A few days later, he begins talking about contract negotiations in general on his show. He doesn't mention Molly by name, but it's clear who he's referring to. He begins talking about how people tend to exaggerate their contributions and how talks become nasty. When someone believes they're more valuable than they actually are, he was entirely focused on Molly having
Said that, I want to move on to a broader subject in regards to this. And this part is not about Molly.
But then listen to what he said next.
But when you have negotiations and you're talking with people and you're going back and forth and you're hearing things that you may not want to hear or feeling things you may not want to feel, even though you're valued, even though people acknowledge those kind of things, we live in a world where we have to grow up. And again, I'm not talking about...
He was portraying her as crazy. Viewers quickly grasped the concept. He was being referred to as a snake, a hypocrite, and a fake. Stephen A. revealed his actual nature. This is where the irony really shines. Stephen A. is giving a talk about being humble and understanding your role. But let's speak about 2024. When Stephen A. openly asked ESPN for $25 million annually, he declined their offer of $18 million.
I'm watching, and I've been watching over the last several years, people in this business fall by the wayside because we forget that all of us ultimately answer to people. We don't get to define our own value. We don't get to define our own
worth, and turned it into a media circus. He made his contract drama as public as possible so that Stephen A. could demand $25 million, and that's okay. But when Molly asks for $2 million, she's suddenly overvaluing herself. He went on TV and podcasts comparing himself to NFL players and saying he deserves Patrick Mahomes' money.
On that, I don't know the details. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Like he said this. He said she abruptly resigned. That's a detail.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to say
Stephen A. wants to make all the demands he wants, but when a lady complies, he destroys her. Let's discuss the past, because he overvalued himself. Stephen A. was fired from ESPN in 2008 and 2009. Before acknowledging that his ego had cost him everything, he was unemployed for almost a year, following controversy. He left ESPN once more in 2013 and returned in 2014. However, he reverted to his previous behavior in 2024, seeking $25 million instead of $18 million, and it was successful. He received more than $100 million from ESPN and $36 million from SiriusXM in 2025.
I also wonder, bro, like from a human perspective, Molly was your sidekick for 10 years. Mm-hmm. We don't need to know she abruptly resigned. Yeah. Protect her at all costs.
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
And then came the line that really summed up what so many people were feeling.
That's the hard part. Yeah. It's like, at what cost do you get the click, Social Trade? Yeah, like, right, don't get clicks at cost of Molly.
Yeah, no, that's not cool.
Like, not Molly. Get clicks at cost of some stranger you don't know or some viral video. Right, yeah. I get it. Yeah. You want to get clicks at the cost of LeBron James? I get it. Yeah. But don't get clicks at the cost of a person that's helped you build your empire.
This individual, who earns more than $20 million annually, criticizes others for attempting to obtain compensation. Molly demands for reasonable compensation and is fired, while Stephen A. can fail upward and demand absurd amounts of money. It is abhorrent to apply a double standard. Not on my watch, replied Emmanuel Aiko. He revealed every inconsistency on his podcast, Speakeasy. He brought up the fact that Stephen said he wouldn't divulge information, but then revealed it on his podcast.